So we are in deep soup. And I thank Elets for creating a session on awareness. And I'd like to just remind everybody the weakest link always is the human. Right? It's not the software, it's not the AI, it's not the technology, but it's the human. It's humanly impossible to remember these passwords, these bloody things we write down, stick it under the table. We have a notepad, and we have, usually it's the date of birth or your daughter's name. It's very easy to guess these passwords, right?
Right.
So the awareness has to come. If my organization has to be strong, then I have a role to play. No matter what I am, I have a role to play. Right? So I'll just stop there.
Right. So very interesting. I have such diverse views, so from new parenting pangs to the love and hate relationship. I mean, such a diversity of thoughts we've had. You wanted to add something, I know. Okay. So moving ahead, while Sir mentioned about, the challenges that cybersecurity does face, I would want to ask you, Minwaj, the most significant challenges posed by AI-powered cyber threats today, if you could talk about those. And of course, how can cybersecurity professionals, adapt and be adept to in handling these challenges?
Yeah, let's take one by one, right?
Sure.
To start with the significant challenges, some of us already have spoken about it, right? With AI coming into cyber threats, increased sophisticated attacks are coming into place, right?
Right.
Targeted phishing attacks. At the same time, these attacks are becoming adaptive in nature, right? A malware can actually change its code as and when it is spreading across a network, something called a self-healing malware kind of a thing. At the same time, these attacks today, they are quite scalable, right? They can spread across networks, and while they spread, they're also using invasion technique, right? They're kind of invading the existing infrastructure from a security point of view, right? For majority of us at the moment, we are still relying on the existing options that we have as far as cybersecurity is concerned, right? Cybersecurity, 20 years back, we had antivirus. Anyone used to ask that, what do you do from a security perspective? The answer was, I have an antivirus,
Right.
right? Then you say, okay, it's no longer the case, right? We have moved since then to EDRs, XDRs. We talk about MDRs. Someone spoke about adaptive MDRs. It's evolving, right? Now think about the continuous research that organizations do to, come with these kind of solutions to combat what the AI-powered cyber threats do. An organization's primary business could be something else, right? But they have to invest time, money, effort into these kind of research to be ahead of time, or to be combating with the existing whatever the AI threat. So it's so sophisticated it has become. For example, think about deepfake, right? We have all heard about a deepfake CFO extorting kind of $25 million over a video call, right? So that's serious, right? So which means these attacks also need a lot of computing resources.
Right.
While the attack in my network can utilize my own resources to kind of flourish, which makes my bandwidth low, and my actual applications are not, which is more of a denial of service attack. We still stick to basics, right? At the same time, if I have to kind of address that solution, address that issue, I have to bring up a solution which will also again use a lot of my resources today, which I could have invested somewhere else, right? So these are the most significant challenges. To add to that, today there are tools in cybersecurity which is using a bit of AI, but as told that we don't know what is cybersecurity in AI, right? It's very nascent.
Right.
So from that perspective, probably we are still dealing with false negatives at some stage. I would not touch upon the other side, that's already there. False negative means we are not detecting the actual threats which are there in our way.
Right.
So some of the very, very significant challenges like this. The second part, right, from how do I address those, right? What are the tactics that come? From a tactics, my take has always been, let us stick to the basics, what we have been doing till now, right? With an added flavor to it, of course. But as long as I have my access controls defined, maintained, monitored, reviewed, I know how I do my program changes, program development. I have a robust third-party risk management process, right? I update my systems, I patch my network. I have got a good incident response and recovery plan. I am protected, right?
Right.
That does not take away the risk of getting attacked, right? I think there are two types of companies in the world. Someone has said which has been attacked. The other set which don't know that they have been attacked. Which means the risk is still there. However, as long as we stick to the basics, and then if we have to adopt to AI, because when I'm actually defending myself from an AI powered cyber tool, I'm an AI powered tool or something, I also have to adopt it to a certain extent. Now, how do I do that? My research will be based on good data models, right?
Right.
Using vast amount of data models, not relying on, there are a lot of stuff available today. If I have to adopt those, I have to understand test. Testing is one important factor that when it comes to testing my own infra, testing what I use in that infra. If I keep sticking to these basics and then add as the technology evolves today from a cybersecurity point of view, I think I'll be it might not still, at this point in time, the industry does not have an answer, but this will let us reduce the risk of getting attacked to a larger extent. That's what my take on this.
Right. So, Sudeep, do you want to add to this that the vulnerability or the I would say the not knowing what lies ahead or what is next? Do you think that can be dealt with? Do you want to add to that?
Uh, I would like to put it in a different perspective.
Sure.
First of all, I kind of pretty much agree with what Sir said, that the weakest link, and I congratulate the way you come back to the main crux of the point. What technologies, what everything. Education and communication is the most important aspect. And we keep doing it, and we have to be, I think,
If
that
you
is
could hold the
something-
mic closer.
yeah,
Thank
but that is something which we will have to keep our overlay focus, because newer tools, newer mechanisms are coming. Nothing beats an aware employee, aware customer. Very, very important. Secondly, to his point, I would like to say that yes, for example, in our case, for his case, I'm a cancer specialty chain. They are a multi-speciality chain of hospitals. IT security, yes, we are transforming us to an IT and a security company, but we may still not be ahead of the curve because that's not the core business. However, under such circumstances, partnerships plays a very important role. So you should have that select group of partners who are your advisors and whom you can collaborate and secure. Lastly, I would like to say, and that is where I slightly differ, and I believe all information security companies will like to align with myself, because the same tools which are available to the hackers are also available to us.
Right.
For example, if you have events log, which we were, and the difference which has happened in, it's very minute, and this is just one example. The logs which were available to us earlier, before AI, we all were aware of AI, let us say, we would say that let us look at logs which are just important and analyze and then work accordingly. Now with AI, to the hacker, everything which is insignificant is also important. To us also, the same thing is important, and we both have the equal amount of compute power available with us. So that has changed with AI, because the magnanimity of data which we can both handle. Now it's a race against who will be winning. Of course, we have to win every time. Having said that, whenever a such thing happens, whenever a new kind of attack comes over, we have to look for anomalies, but somebody will die. Means some patient, day one patient will happen, rest of us will be saved. These are certain things which I have come to realize, that the same tools which are used by a dark web hacker is also used by a Palo Alto for the same perspectives, but one is to safeguard me, the other is to
Harm.
take away something
Yes,
from me.
right.
So these are three dimensions I just wanted to say.
Right.
You want to add?
Yeah. Okay. So, Srikant, I want to ask you, in terms of the ways in which AI can ethically and responsibly be integrated into cybersecurity frameworks, so that the effect is maximized, the defense capabilities are maximized, and there is no compromise happening there. So, your thoughts?
I'll start by telling it's a slippery slope. It's not going to be 100% the way things get applied. Like, as I said before, I think one of the most important cornerstones I feel is whatever we do, it could be detection, intervention that comes from AI, ultimately has to be interpretable, right? A human in the loop should be able to sit and look at it and say, this thing makes sense, or this is an actual attack, or this is a fraud event. So it's not just about having, let's say, a very high event detection rate or something like that. Not about that metric. More about making it human possible thing to look at, evaluate it, and then say whether it makes sense or not. I feel this is one of the places where I feel when people look at AI, they feel that, hey, this is too foreign. I really do not know what this does. I think I feel there is a trust aspect among the security professionals. They always think, hey, whether this makes sense or not. Right? It makes sense on the surface, but whether this really going to be the tool that I want to use. Right? So that's one aspect of it. I think another aspect, I mean, it's more from a AI professional perspective, is when you have these various tools available to you, when you have this technology available to you, whether this makes sense from a data perspective. That is, ultimately, all of our data is biased. That is, you have data on the known attacks typically. You have data about the times which are not relevant to you, the older. So when you're making and creating a solution that has to add value, there's always that question mark, whether you can actually have the right model or the right understanding what is an attack, even considering it, and then the detection rate ultimately comes. Right? I think fundamentally, I feel right now AI community needs to bridge that particular gap. Understanding how do we mitigate this bias, which could also be going deeper into the causal aspect of how things were pulled out. Right? I feel amalgamation of all these things will lead to a good, I would say, collaboration between AI and the security community.
Right, right. Dr. Prabhu, do you want to add anything to this?
Let me talk about AI in cybersecurity. So I have 5 points. The first one is advanced threat detection. AI will enhance the ability to detect and respond to threats in real time. It's humanly not possible for us to keep watching the systems. We have gone far beyond, those days. And when I came to know about the kind of attacks that are happening now, 50 lakh attempts per day. 50 lakh attempts per day. So that is where AI has a huge role to play. Automated response. So AI can automate responses to certain types of threats, reducing the time it takes to mitigate an attack. Predictive analysis. By analyzing historical data, AI can predict potential vulnerabilities and preemptively address them. We don't wait for them to come to us. We go to them. User behavior analytics. AI can monitor and analyze user behavior to detect unusual activities that could signify a breach. This helps in identifying insider threats and compromised accounts. This is a very serious issue because if a disgruntled employee decides to take his employer down the wrong path, he probably knows, when, what, how, where, why, everything. So that behavior AI can catch because it's simply an algorithm looking at the patterns. The last one is AI driven security tools. We will see more AI powered tools for activities such as penetration testing, which we do now, risk assessment, and compliance monitoring.
Right.
Thank you.
Sudeep, do you want to add to this, the ethical considerations that we just spoke about? So, if you could take the mic.
Sorry. So, absolutely, it's very well put. And I would like to pick on one subject particularly. It is the threat detection and response, which he also highlighted that it is in the formative stages. There will be a lot of false positive, both of them highlighted. The key is, I would say, the engine's governance. Rather than monitoring or anything, there is, when you create AI models anywhere, apart from information security also, governance means what kind of output it is throwing out. It also means what kind of data went in. If are there any biases, there is a whole lot of process steps which are put up for governing a good model, right? At least for FDA, we know that there are certain number of rules and governance things, and I'm sure it is there for all kinds of AI models. Once you monitor all of that, then you can be sure that it's an evolving engine. The main thing about AI, which I would like to convey, and I'm sure everybody knows around, is that you are not giving any logic or algorithm. The
Right.
algorithm is learning from the data.
Right.
So the governance of the data and the moderation of that data is very important. There might be certain aspects. In the previous panel I heard people said that there are data generators, there are for that is during the formative stages. After the model is created, like he stated, it is a governance of the data which is getting in. You may like to withdraw some data and put it there. So that piece will enable a stronger engine. That stronger engine will enable a faster response time. He highlighted that our response times have to be faster. We cannot be responding because by then the spread would have happened.
Right.
The spread, it is easier understandable with human viruses or things that could have mutated, because that is also learning, right? So the governance piece and the response teams are very important.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have spoken a lot, right? Yeah. So, I mean, at the end, probably just touching upon, I mean, the reason all of us are here, right? It's all about understanding, creating more awareness.
Right.
Right. The more we create the awareness, it's, I mean, cascading this across to everyone across the organization. Because, as we keep working on a lot of stuff which comes across to us, all becomes input for that data model to kind of analyze, right?
Right.
So the more the model is good, the better the output. And if we keep testing those outputs and have a robust pen testing exercise, perform regular red teaming and stuff like that, the speed factors and all that will probably contribute to that.
Right.
That's all I
So,
have to say.
this is an open question for all of you. We are going to be crystal gazing to the future. So, sir, beginning with you, how do you see the future of AI and cybersecurity evolving?
Okay. So again, here I have 5 points on this. Starting with zero trust architecture. What does zero trust mean? Moving away from the traditional perimeter-based security model to a zero trust approach where no one, whether inside or outside the network, is trusted by default. AI-driven threat intelligence, leveraging AI to gather, analyze, and interpret threat intelligence data to anticipate and mitigate cyber threats. Extended detection and response, integrating multiple security products into a cohesive system that provides a holistic view. Quantum computing. We are almost at the verge of quantum computing becoming real, preparing for the potential impact of a quantum computing on cryptography, which is considered very strong today, but it can be easily broken when quantum computing takes off. The last is privacy enhancing technologies, implementing technologies that allow for data analysis and process without compromising privacy, such as homomorphic encryption and differential privacy. Some of the pointers, there's a whole lot of other things also which are being researched, and I think we will be hearing more and more of that coming up.
Sure, sir. Shrikant, your thoughts on this?
I'll just add one thing because so I brought in the idea of privacy, and I think from an AI standpoint, it's very important to address that. There are two things that immediately come to my mind. One is what features do you have, or what information do you have about individuals or the entities in question, right? So one thing is people generally in a model would mask it, right? That's thing one. So the second thing I think which AI community I think knows, but something that I would say will become prevalent in few years is federated learning. So that you train your models or gain that final leg of intelligence using the private data of that user, so that you don't need to actually get that data, let's say, to a central server and train it. So I think that adds a further edge. It's like this. Think of a tool. You have a tool which goes into, let's say, the system of that user and then learns those things, and then it is resilient enough, right? What you create is a basic bare bone. So I think that probably could answer a few things. Yeah.
Sure. Sudeep? Yes, almost done, Mansi.
Shrikant did put it in a very good way. In this parlance, it is called as structured and unstructured learning. And what he meant is probably that initially it can be structured, and then models can train models, and it can become a tree structure in which it is unstructured. Again, we must follow the principles of good governance.
Right.
It is a must.
Right.
Yeah, quickly.
Yes.
I think, see, it is the same on either side. What AI does is probably will be done by cybersecurity. Same ammunitions we spoke about, right? So let's be prepared to the core. That's the message, I guess.
Perfect. I think you rounded it off very well. I think preparation is the key to understand, what lies ahead. So thank you so much, panelists. It was a pleasure having you with us and getting your insights.